Mega Mirror Now exclusive. Now, in a bid to tighten the screws and strengthen the intel sharing mechanism, Home Minister Amit Shah has now directed the Intelligence Bureau to share only sifted and precise information with the Financial Intel Unit. This after the financial agency claimed that it was impossible to track all the funds amid the voluminous information shared with them. The direction comes after Amit Shah held a top-secret meet with the IB and other intel agencies. Remember, despite setting up special mechanisms to deal with black money, the BJP government has struggled to mount prosecution in alleged high-profile corruption cases. With this new order, the government aims to expedite tracking of funds and prosecution.
अमित शाह जी तमाम इंटेलिजेंस का ये इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं कि देश में उनकी सरकार के खिलाफ जो भी एजिटेशन हो उसकी फंडिंग कहां से हो रही है। क्या अमित शाह जी आपकी इंटेलिजेंस इस बात का भी पता करेगी कि आपकी पब्लिक मीटिंग, प्रधानमंत्री की पब्लिक मीटिंग, बीजेपी के प्रोग्राम, उनकी फंडिंग कहां से हो रही है, उसका भी पता कीजिए।
Central Board of Direct Taxes and Income Tax Investigation Directorate that the inputs that they receive apropos slush funds from the Intelligence Bureau are too voluminous, and it becomes almost impossible for them to keep a tab on each one of them and therefore mount any kind of successful prosecution or even tax recoveries from them, if at all any due. So the Director Intelligence Bureau to that said that this is a specific job or a specialized job, and it should be done by the concerned agencies. So if the income tax wants to follow those leads, they should be sifting through the data, and the Intelligence Bureau probably is not in a position or is not does not have that kind of wherewithal where they can provide details of each and every possible input. Home Minister, however, overrode that suggestion. Home Minister, however, said that, this is something that the Intelligence Bureau will have to do, and if they do not have the capacity to do it, they must develop the capacity, build wherewithal, but the financial intelligence agencies must be provided every possible detail about the slush funds, particularly slush funds above the tune of ₹1 crore, their movement, so that the tracking for them, for the financial intelligence agencies becomes simpler and a successful prosecution can be mounted.
And strategic affairs expert Maruf Raza now joins me on the phone line. Mr. Raza, thank you so much for joining me. Now, despite the objections raised by the Intelligence Bureau, the Home Minister going ahead and cracking a whip on graft and, going ahead and mentioning that these things actually need to be done to actually understand terror financing.
You see, terror on which terror groups operate. But the irony is that while a lot of movement of money takes place, is not formally disclosed, the money that reaches these groups allows them to do a number of activities, from supporting small terror outfits to building up an arsenal of weapons and other things. There is an International Financial Action Task Force, which is empowered to look at countries once action is initiated under a UN resolution which is called 1267. India fortunately doesn't figure in that, but Pakistan has been on the radar for years. The problem to me is that it is easy for tax agencies to try and harass and track money when somebody has honestly declared, but the logic says that if a person is to declare his sources, whether it runs into 1 or 100 crores, why would a person declare something which is illicit? So I feel the hammer will come down on those who are honestly declaring their funds, and as the intelligence agencies themselves have confirmed, they don't have the capacity to track down those who are transferring funds all over the world through illicit means. From 9/11 attacks, America initiated a series of actions against fund transfers because they felt funding was a key element of terror groups and their operations. India has not been focusing on it because our focus on terrorism has been largely on foot soldiers who conduct terror acts in J&K and sometimes in cities like Mumbai. But the nexus between financing and terrorism and the patrons abroad is vast. India must develop the capacity, and computers today help you solve a lot of problems. So I don't see why the intelligence agencies have raised their hands up and said perhaps they are too comfortable in the zones they have defined for themselves and do not want to venture out of that, because it is easy to acknowledge your successes, but it is difficult to take on new challenges where you will be exposed for your ineptness. So the Home Minister is right in demanding that they must develop capacities. And there is a lot of black money in India that does the rounds. A classic example is the funding that groups that get from Dawood Ibrahim and others. I mean, the money that comes from them is the money that they raise undercover operations from land deals, property deals, drug deals. And this is the money that they siphon into cities like Mumbai, and then you see attacks on infrastructure there by groups that get funded by them. Because the easiest lure for a terrorist is not religion only, it is the lure of money and the greenback. And that is what I think the Home Minister was indicating. Back to you.
Right. Also, Maruf, what really happens to that argument of people who are opposing this view of the Home Minister?
People who are opposing are the people who might have a certain cause to worry that whatever they've declared other than that will be good. I said earlier that the fear amongst people is that the honest taxpayer and the declarant, who may have incomes running into hundreds of crores, would come more under scrutiny because the tax authorities will try and put pressure on the obvious. They have the data on these people. But logic demands that if somebody has declared their money and their sources of the money, you should let them be and get on with trying to find out where the other money is coming from. And that is where our capacities are limited. So we need to develop it, period.
All right, Maruf, thank you so much for joining us with all those details. So this is what we are getting for our viewers. This is a big Mirror Now exclusive. In a bid to tighten screws and strengthen the intel sharing mechanism, Home Minister Amit Shah has in fact directed the Intelligence Bureau to share only sifted and precise information with the Financial Intel Unit. This is what we are getting at the moment as Union Home Minister Amit Shah chaired a security review meeting during which he highlighted continued threats of cross-border terrorism, terror financing, among other security challenges, in fact. And this meeting was also held to review the prevailing threat scenario in the country and the emerging security challenges. In fact, he stressed upon the fact that there is a need that after financial agencies, in fact, claim that it was impossible to track all the funds amid the voluminous information shared with them, Shah has directed that all the intel agencies will have to share precise information with the financial agencies, the Financial Intel Unit.